This message is for white people. So when I grew up, my mom would always try to wake me up and get me ready so that I could get on the school bus on time. And then some days I would just oversleep, or I would ignore her because I wanted that extra fucking sleep because it was just so cozy and comfortable and I just felt so good while I was sleeping. And then ultimately I'd miss the bus, and then my mom would cuss me out, get me dressed, and have to drive me to school. But she's cussing me out the whole fucking way there because she told my ass to get up. That is me as a black person participating in anything political right now, because we told you niggas to get the fuck up. You niggas did not want to get up. You niggas was so fucking comfortable. It was, oh, sleepy. Oh, 5 extra minutes. 5 extra minutes. You bitches wanted 5 extra minutes so bad, you got it. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes so bad. You got the 5 fucking extra minutes. Now we driving you bitch ass niggas to school, and we barely want to fucking drive y'all. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes, and y'all got the shit. Now we barely want to drive you niggas to school, and we cussing y'all ass out the whole fucking way, because we told y'all ass to get the fuck up, and y'all didn't want to get up. You niggas didn't want to get up. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes so fucking bad. You got it. Congratulations. It's the fucking country you have. Now they killing y'all ass. Now y'all actually care. What the fuck? 5 extra minutes. That's all y'all fucking wanted. So just know, while anything I'm politicating in right now, I barely want to be there, bro. Because we told you niggas so fucking long ago. And you niggas did not care because it wasn't happening to y'all on a mass level. It was happening to us, so it was fucking cool. Fuck y'all.
Welcome to the Roots Rundown, our 3 times a week, a tri-weekly, if you will. If you want to try a little bit, smaller bite-sized show of the Radical Roots podcast. I am your host, Payron Baxter, and I'm joined today by my co-host of the usual stand-in, Rom. What's up?
What's going on? How are you doing? I figured I'd hop in. I got time today. Got to make time, as she said. To her point, no more, holding on to Blanky. I haven't been holding on to my Blanky, so right. I've been very clear-eyed and
very much
about what's going on. But it's
I wanted to start the episode with that because, again, I think she kind of synthesized how a lot of Black and brown people have been feeling for, I don't know, my calendar here, a couple hundred years, of the idea of being aware of what is happening to the social conditions of America. And this is the definition of woke. I mean, that whole analogy she gave about being asleep is what being woke is. I talked about it when we had Christy Puckett on, that this is basically the nigger lover syndrome, where they want people to be afraid to engage with people. And it's like, no, like, don't break down when you hear words like woke. Don't break down when you hear things like systemic racism. Don't break down when you hear things like, oppression and repression, because that's what they want. They want you to find your comfort. And I thought she did a really good job there. But there is a lot. This episode is really going to just really dive into our political leadership and the folks who feel like they are leaders. And, again, I'm trying to keep these shows short, but I'm going to just kick it off with what I wanted to kick it off with. The governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and his, I mean, honestly, this is where it's at. This is where it's at.
My fellow Minnesotans, what's happening in Minnesota right now defies belief. News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
Okay, so like hearing this, you're like, okay, maybe he's addressing the problem. He's talking about it, right? But like, it doesn't get better. I'm not gonna play this whole thing. It's 3 minutes, and I'm like, this is a short show. I'm gonna skip the middle now. Let's see where he's going here in the middle.
For leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs, rather than go along with this assault on the United States Constitution. But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of this state, who dared to vote against him 3 times, and who continue to stand up for freedom with courage and...
Oh my God. All right. So then now it's the voters who are the strong ones. The people who have no power, who have no institutional power, who don't have resources, who don't have cops, who don't have guns. on the state level. It's their responsibility. Now I'm going to zoom to the end, because I remember he said something at the end here that was
want retribution. Folks, I know it's scary, and I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity, while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done.
okay. You know, Ram, maybe have the Palestinians tried to do a direct-to-camera appeal to end their occupation? Maybe they should just do that. Just look right at the camera and say, Israel, let's end this occupation of our land. Like, what are we talking about here?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but the first thing that struck me was that he was standing by himself in this, like, this mahogany room, and this, like the mahogany
desk,
safe and insulated
rooms, right?
Safe and insulated, and it's clearly too much to ask for the governor to hit the street of his own. This was one of the biggest city in his state.
Rom, he's in the governor's mansion. He's in that governor's mansion, bro.
He didn't have an I don't know if the entourage, we see Democrats and their entourages, outside the Capitol building, and with their kente cloth. So I don't think that's the answer either.
For the people.
But I do think that the answer is actually hitting the streets with the people, right? I mean, are you going to assault a mayor? Are you going to shoot tear gas at them? And whether, I'm not saying that he needs to be, on a side of, but to be standing out there in his presence in the middle of all of this, to be talking to these ICE agents as they're assaulting, to be talking to his Minnesota State police officers, to be talking to the Minneapolis St. Paul Police Department. So yes, I do think that there is something that more he can be doing other than just saying words and strongly worded speeches and strongly worded letters. We're beyond that. So they don't give a shit about him. They have all the stuff that they've talked about him, fraud and this and that, and he's resigned. I don't, these people aren't freedom fighters. These people aren't geared and ready for the moment. So we, as people, the people he's talking to, also have to recognize that there's nothing that he's saying that has anything to do with a solution that is adequate.
I mean, dude, you could tell right there. There was no solution there. He was just basically presenting.
Tell us what to do. Yeah,
I mean, he was basically
people of Minnesota what to do.
Yeah, he was just reading the headlines that we're all reading. Like, can you believe this is happening to us? I wish someone had some power. But then moving on to the actual, just to keep it quick here, moving on to the to Mayor Fry. Here's Mayor Fry, and let's see how strong he gets.
Anyone that is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos. And I have seen thousands of people throughout our city peacefully protesting. For those that have peacefully protested, I applaud you. For those that are taking the bait, you are not helping. And you are not helping the undocumented immigrants in our city. You are not helping the people that call this place home. ICE can leave, and this mass.
All right.
Yeah. My reaction, to that is, they're kind of saying two different things, and he wants to meet violence and escalation with submission.
Please.
So, these people out there, look, I'm not on the ground, but there's a lot of people who are on the ground who have been giving their eyewitness details, and we can see it. You can see it in these videos where, they're protesting, they're yelling, but when you start to shoot tear gas into people's faces,
they shot a kid's eye.
Rubber bullets. He's blind in one eye. When you're marching down the street of somebody's community in military fatigue, with armored cars, and these people have what, whistles, their words. There is no violent, like in some, sure, somebody might escalate and throw, what are they throwing back, a canister? They, like, I haven't seen any reports of people doing the escalation. And if there is that one person, but yes, once the escalation, once the violence comes out, chaos meets chaos. Violence begets violence. So I don't know
Yeah.
what he expects. He also can be out there in his city. You know, he talks tough, right? He talked tough, and you can say, "Get the fuck out of our city."
Get
Okay,
out.
then what? But then what?
Get
Like,
back.
are you, like, again, like, are you engaging with Bovino? Are you engaging with the people on the ground? Are you engaging with uh, Christy Nome? Like, what's happening? Right. So if you can't control the situation as the leader of your city, as the leader of your state, if you all can't control the situation, you can't tamp it down, then the people have to do it. The people have to do it. If people are going to be out here getting, shot, people are out dragged out of houses, they're going to be getting shot, running into their houses because, and then the whole narrative. I don't know if I'll let you. Let me not get ahead of myself. I know you have an agenda.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man. No, dude, this is what this is. It's free flowing, so feel free. But like I said when I posted this, who needs Republicans when you have Democrats like this? When you have people that, to your point, are telling you. I mean, we have to admit, violence is here. Violence is here, and this is the way liberals look at violence. Where if it's interpersonal violence, is the same thing as state violence. Right. And this is why they didn't listen to black people. And they said, hey, there is a system that is keeping us enslaved. The indigenous people, hey, there is a system that is pushing us off our land, scalping us, raping our children, selling our children to Christian schools. This is systemic violence. Well, no, don't you shoot those arrows back. Don't you take that shovel and hit that slave master. Don't. Violence is already wrought on people. This is why a good barometer to gauge liberalism is like, well, do you think Nat Turner deserved to do what he did? And it's usually like, no, he killed people. But it's like, again, he was enslaved, and we're not looking at the violence that is currently happening. I'm just tying the past to the present.
It's not
this is how they do.
It's not just violence. It's actual illegal. It's actually going against the Constitution. So let's just say, okay, everybody went home. So we are allowing them to, stop people unconstitutionally, illegally, because because they're brown, because they look Somalian, because you can demand their ID, demand their papers. None of those things are legal, right? To go door to door.
Hold on now. Wait a second. We got Brett Kavanaugh. And honestly, I don't think he gets enough smoke in this whole national conversation. He was the one that said that it's okay to basically, what's the profile people based on the color of their skin and their accent. And in fact, the nickname of these is Kavanaugh stops. So I just want to just push back on that. That, like, the Supreme Court, beer Kavanaugh, I like beer. And me and Tucker and Scooter and crying and shit, and they said women are too emotional. Yeah. He's the one that said you could do this. So
yeah, and I'm not a lawyer, and I don't have the exact verbiage in front of me in terms of what the Supreme Court said, but they ultimately enabled racial profiling, right? And it's very loosely defined in terms of like what they can't do in terms of
specific.
If there's immigrants, it's intentionally gray. And the Supreme Court should not have left it, right? So there is no Supreme Court that we can rely on. But going door to door, breaking down doors with an administrative warrant, an ICE administrative warrant versus a judicial signed warrant, they cannot break down doors and enter houses with just a ICE administrative warrant. If you open the door, then that's on you. But they are breaking down doors. They are the ones that are doing the illegal activities. Before ICE entered this city, the violence in this city was not coming. The violence in the city was, normal or average or whatever you call it. Not
interpersonal violence, right?
But that violence is now taking a whole new, in terms of like, are you safe in Minneapolis going outside? Are you safe, traveling to your doctor? Are you safe? Like, those are all questions that people have to ask. You're terrorizing your community, whether they're naturalized citizens, whether they're citizens.
Mm-hmm.
whether they're going through the process or whether they're undocumented, right? But that's and the undocumented, go through a process, but they should not be subjected to inhumane treatment. They should not be subjected to being locked up and put into detention centers. They should not be subjected to any of this. So if people in their with their humanness feel like they need to take it to the streets to stop this and to actually bring accountability and justice, because of the state, the cities, the states, and the federal government have basically said there is no accountability, there is no more justice. So it's just basically whatever those in power have decided to, the laws that they have decided to obey, whatever laws that they decide to enact against the people they decide to enact it against, right? So, miss me with that.
No, and this was a direct, deliberate plan. Everything does go back to racism, but I think about like how these things escalated since the first Trump administration to during Joe Biden's term. Because don't forget, we had ICE agents whipping Haitians on horseback. Remember that? Down in Texas, there was people on horses whipping Haitians at the southern border, and to the point Republicans wanted to put that on a pony. Our whole idea of immigration is always rooted in racism. And Adam Serwer, who writes for The Atlantic, he coined the term, and his book is titled this, but the cruelty is the point. And he talks about how, like, when people say come the right way, like 100 some odd years ago, there was no right way. You just came. Some people didn't even know how to write in English. They just put an X on the line, and the United States government gave them a new name. But all of this stuff was deliberate, right? So if you say that you're going after the violent migrants, of course, crime is going to happen, to your point, Rom. You're going to have a migrant that commits crime, whatever the case may be. Eventually those people run out. But so then it escalates. Well, then you just say being a migrant is a crime within itself. But then those people run out, right? So then they say, well, if you interfere with them, now that's the crime. This is the escalation of Nazism. I think I talked about this a few episodes ago on our main show, where it didn't start off pushing people into gas chambers in Nazi Germany. It started off with detentions and detainees. Then that turned into, someone killed a Jewish person, and they shouldn't have killed a Jewish person. And they said, well, you know what? We cannot hold the SS accountable. Now they are above the law. It is no different from the Ku Klux Klan, no different from the Silver Shirts, no different from any of these terrorist organizations, the Confederates, that we've had in this country for our entire existence. And one thing I thought was interesting was that we got Trump calling people like Renee Nicole Good, this mother of 3 who just dropped off her kid at daycare. She's a terrorist, right? He says anybody that protests ICE, JD Vance going out there whining on a fucking podium like the couch cuck that he is, saying that anybody that does this is a terrorist. Kristi Noem calling this woman a terrorist who got 3 in the head, a terrorist. But at the same time, Donald Trump is out here cheering on the protests of Iran. And I'm here to save you and help you. But he says that the protesters in his own country are terrorists. If the jig isn't up for a lot of people who don't understand what is going on, I can't. And earlier today I posted this quote from Assata Shakur that said, no one has ever got their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of their oppressors. And Ron, I don't know if we're ready for this, because I got this other clip here that I meant to play last week. But are we ready, Ron? Check this out. Are we ready?
If you had been a Marine, I would have brought some cookies and crayons. No. Listen.
I love you. I love you. I want to hug you.
You can't do that.
Oh,
No.
I could.
I mean, I would let you.
I don't mind.
You could hug me. I would embrace it if you would hug me.
I will. I will. Come over.
I can't go that way.
I do.
So,
We have a heart. You know what I mean?
take off all that shit and come with me. Come with me.
Yeah, I just don't know if we're really fucking for real. Then I say we, I mean, honestly, the majority overclass, overculture group, white people. I think it's really hard for them to see law enforcement as something that needs to be resisted.
I mean, let's just say that that's a good man right there. Let's just say I don't know, he's the guy that stops his fellow officer from, I don't know, beating the shit out of somebody. He's standing next to a man who's fully masked. You know, they're like the idea that this
he was masked.
It's not a system. It's not a. I mean, the guy next to him had a full-fledged gas mask. I mean, this is actually what I expect all of these, ICE and Border Patrol agents to start wearing is like these full, where you can't see their face. They're no longer just these things, where they look like stormtroopers, right? But these are the people that are. I don't think people are serious about like.
No,
and especially as this like we mentioned on Sunday, the ICE is compromised. Like that is a government agency that is compromised to the point where it cannot be fixed. Right? If you have, and I just saw a report yesterday, they're allowing people in. They're reducing what the requirements are to join ICE. Reducing the requirements for training. They're down to like 4 weeks of online training now. In terms of like how you get hired, if you have military experience, you're basically fast tracked. They hired.
If you just type in the word,
they hired a liberal journalist who's on their list, right? So they're not even vetting.
Just to fuck around.
They're not even vetting. Like I actually think I could get so if they have officer in the name of your title,
right, you're a loan officer.
I'm a chief information security officer. I would probably get fast
front of the line,
and have my training reduced to. In order to just get out there, right?
Just get out there. Give them a gun.
Administrative. So this is an agency that now is compromised. The integrity of the agency is compromised. The legitimacy of the agency is compromised, right? So now you're telling me that they're going to have this reform of training. Who you training? You're training Proud Boys. You're training the Patriot Front. You're training white supremacists.
Correct.
So we're going to train
fucking what's his name? Hold on. But what's his name? Enrique Tarrio. He's listed as an ICE agent. Enrique Tarrio of January 6th fame of he couldn't be in DC on January 6th because he had a restraining order on the city because he burned that Black Lives Matter flag in 2020. I remember that motherfucker. Yeah, he is listed as an ICE agent. So when people say, why don't you see Batman and Bruce Wayne in the same room? It's because they're the same people. Why aren't the cops stopping ICE? Because they agree with ICE. Because the cops were born out of slave patrol. But I saw a black person who's an ICE agent. Okay, there's always some sellouts. The only way to have an oppressed group is to have traitors present. And I'm just like, it's so irritating when like people think that we can actually negotiate with this stuff, and they want to tell people that like, hold on, stand on the sidewalk. We have to get our permits. They are shooting you in the fucking face. What more do you have the right to protect yourself and your children? If that means getting the fuck out of there, if that means like, punching these motherfuckers, like, I don't know what you want me to say. Well, hold on. But violence is going to be, if we do that, then they'll get what they really want. They're already doing that. They're shooting you. They're taking Ziploc women into porta potties and the ICE officers walking behind them. They're dragging pregnant women on their bellies. They're already doing whatever you imagine. Oh, if we hit back, then they're going to get us. They're already doing it.
If you go back probably to about a year ago, our episode a year ago before Trump took office, they were already talking about. It was already talk about martial law, like all of these things, and early into his term, they were already talking about Insurrection Act. They were talking about martial law. They were
My
talking
very
about,
first thing I'm going to do.
So it wasn't like it's not like these things are just coming out of the blue. It's not like these things were like this was always their plan of escalation to right. Now they found a point where, hey, they can maybe get the people riled up enough to where I can call in the Insurrection Act. The idea that there's this November election is going to be a free and fair election, that we're even going to have elections, that we're not going to have these people terrorizing the poll places, that we're not going to have people terrorizing cities on election day, if we even have an election day, right? The guy told you that, you can stop elections during wartime, so or during the Insurrection Act. So like all of these things, like it's just confirmation points, right? These aren't things that should be shocking to anyone. You get somebody said, "Can we call it an administration a regime now?" I mean, yeah, I've called it a regime. I call it administration. Sometimes most people, if you call it a regime, they kind of like, "Ooh, where are you?" Like, they take you less seriously. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. If you listen to Midas Touch, he calls it a regime all the time.
Why not?
And then,
but I think the fear in that is that, like, then people will have to hold and maybe crack the artifice in their mind that, like, was this country always one? And it's like, it has been. And this is why when we had your friend on, I said, this country has always been a fascist country from its beginning. And he was kind of like, are you sure about that? And I'm like, dude, what do you think slavery is? What do you think genocide is of the indigenous? What do you think apartheid is? What do you think Jim Crow is? That's tyranny, right? We couldn't take up arms. People, well, you know, the Irish were enslaved too. They were indentured servants. But you know what? When they finished their indentured servitude, they can go get a bank account. They can have a firearm. We had perpetual enslavement, and we can never own a firearm. We can never have a bank account. Like, this is by law and legal decree. So we have to understand this is the roots of all this, the radical roots of it, if you will.
Yeah.
And
even
like,
I had that aha moment. Yeah, even I had that aha moment, right? Knowing the history, and it's like, well, you know, when you actually put it into perspective.
I think that's what's hard for people to accept. Like, maybe if I say that this thing's a regime, it's been a regime for a lot of people. And a phrase that a lot of indigenous people say is "get your laws off of me." And I think we would say that they're wrong because are they lawless? But, like, again, what does the American law, the United States law, mean to an indigenous person?
Yeah, and I think exactly, and I think that people have to put things into perspective. They have to step into the footsteps of others to actually truly understand, and I think that's happening more and more. But unfortunately, it's like, you know, people have been yelling this from the mountaintops since, well, yeah, since Martin Luther King. Like, all these people have been telling you throughout history of, like,
yeah. I mean, Martin Luther King said, you know, the three worst evils in the world are racism, materialism, and militarism and materialism. Those three things. So, like, we have to understand, like, the fact that ICE has a larger budget than the next 5 countries' military budget combined. We are going down the path, and guess what? On Monday, all these Republicans are going to put, you know, in fact, happy birthday, Martin Luther King. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to him. It's a federal law that we celebrate on the 3rd Monday of every January. But, like, you can see a bunch of these Republicans post their usual content to your character, color of your skin, Martin Luther King.
But yeah, and do we even argue these points with conservatives? I feel like arguing with conservatives is a lost cause. That's trying to appeal to. I mean, these people are
their sense of morality. Yeah.
They're excusing. If you're still in it, you're excusing pedophilia. You're excusing pedophilia protection.
January 6th,
illegality. January 6th. You're
34 felony counts. E.G. Carroll,
fraud, theft. I mean, the list goes on, right? So this speaks more to them, and I don't think that you know, there's might be some independence and things that, like, I don't think you need to work that hard to actually convince them. If you need to work that hard, then I would say cut them out your life. If you're your family, probably just cut them off.
Bridget's point here, I want to address real quick. Martial law to cancel elections. Now, check this out, though. You know, in Ruth Ben-Ghiat's book, Strong Man, she talks about this a lot. Fascists and authoritarians actually love elections. They love elections because that's the only thing that keeps you from putting your foot in their fucking ass, right? Even if it's because it has to have the appearance that you are actually trying to control who rules over you, right? And then on top of that, we're forgetting that, one, Trump just can't cancel elections because our elections are so decentralized. Even if he walks out on the lawn of the White House and says martial law, elections will still happen because they're ran at a county level, at a local level.
Well, Texas and North Carolina, you know, these places that have board of elections that are now Republican run, they would just cancel it. They would say, "Oh, it's like,
hold on, but hear me out.
Okay.
We have almost 6,000 elections happening this year. A lot of those people are Republicans, and they want to run for higher office. And what do they need? An election. They're in Congress. They're in the school board. They want to get into the county commissioners. That takes an election. So I think and I understand it.
It's a very valid point. Yes.
I'm just saying, like, I think sometimes we're getting ahead of our skis. And we're like, he's going to cancel the elections. These Republicans, the only thing they have is their institutional power, and that's how they hold on to it, is by giving you the imprimatur that you have the ability to take them out of office and to choose someone else. This is why they run crazy Marjorie Taylor Greene, because if not, they would actually try to change the conditions for their voters. Because they give you hatred, they give you anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, right? So they need elections too. So, and again, we don't have federal elections. This is one positive thing I'm going to say about states' rights is that it's so decentralized. It's so decentralized. One man can't say it's over. It's over, guys. And it's not enough of that. They don't got the fucking muscle. We talked about how they've changed the requirements. Even if they had an ICE agent at every single polling location, they don't have enough.
Yeah. Have you ever been anti-states' rights, like in the sense of like you go out there and be like, I'm against states' rights? Because the people that have always said states' rights are now like the federal government has the absolute authority.
No abortion.
Minnesota has no no jurisdiction.
Comply or
the
die.
federal government said, the same people, don't tread on me. The hypocrisy is what kills me the most about conservatives and these MAGA and Republicans. That's what kills me the most.
And another good question here. Even during a declared war, we have had elections through every single war, including the Civil War. I just want to be very clear about that. We have never not had elections. Again, my people weren't even allowed to vote. We were still property during the Civil War. But I'm just letting you know that's the history of this settler clone project, was that they have never missed one. And again, it allows them to stay legitimate, even though this whole project is illegitimate. So I just want you, as we're trying to change our minds and see this through a different prism, I need you to understand, look at it through the lens of someone who's never had the opportunity. Again, I tell people my mother was born not a full human being. She was born in 1962. So like at that point, Black people don't have the right to vote. Right. So all these laws, all these wars and all this shit that's happened has happened without Black people's input, truly, or Native people, or Latino people, or Asian people, or whoever. So all the bad shit that's happened, and they're blaming it on liberals and leftists and Black people and woke and DEI. Everything has been happening under a white man's rule. So on top of that, with declared war, we've always had elections. Just want to be very clear about that. Yeah,
and I think to your point, the conservatives and Republicans, like,
regressives.
Because it's like they're easily distracted, right? Like it's like putting a laser in front of a cat, and you just say it's the immigrants that are doing this. Like they'll change their narrative. Like you see how it shifts the narrative. It's first it was Haitians eating cats and dogs. Then it was the Venezuelans with drugs. And we went in and we took Venezuela. I haven't heard anything about drugs. We're talking about oil. It's just like
now it's straight oil.
It's just straight oil.
Yeah,
right. Like they don't say anything about drugs.
Well, I know he's a bad guy. All that shit went away. Even on the left, because like we have to admit that this imperial empire, like it's all about American interests. And when I say American interests, that's corporate interests.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter. Oh, you care about Black people. You don't care about white people getting killed. Well, Renee Good just got killed. Where's all lives matter?
Yeah, I posted that
earlier. So all of these,
I said it's funny how the Black Lives Matter people are the only ones calling for justice for Renee Nicole Good, while the All Lives Matter people are supporting her murderer. Again,
the same people that were supporting Black Lives Matter are the exact same people that were. Why aren't you caring about white folks? So, black people in this country, the most have done everything that's been asked.
Which I want to do.
So what else is there?
Seriously,
right? And so so what outside of like succumbing to slavery and forever being segregated and completely excluded from the economy. I mean, which is absurd,
hey, Ron,
right?
did you hear there was a school board member? Was a school board member? She's in New Hampshire, I believe, and they can't run Signal chat. I mean, these are the most incompetent fucking people. And she's basically saying in the Signal group chat, basically, we can't wait to resegregate the schools and have a school for us and a school for them. The test scores will be. First of all, y'all don't want an even playing field. And when I say that, I mean white America. And of course, there's always someone like, well, don't see all of us. Again, we're looking. I can tell the difference between you or someone else. So when I say white America, the majority of white America chooses to vote against my humanity. White America does not want a level playing field. Because if they did, they wouldn't need things like gerrymandering. They wouldn't need things like the school to prison pipeline. They wouldn't need things like prisoner disenfranchisement with voting. They wouldn't need things like the filibuster. They wouldn't need things like a malapportioned Congress. They wouldn't need that. But they need to have all these things. And then when they win, they stand on top. They say, look, we won. It's like, well, yeah, you won. It's a fucking rigged system.
Yeah, and then when when you start to see black and minorities become and moved into positions of power, positions of influence, stature, then it's DEI that got them there. None of us actually deserve any of it. We were just here because we're just DEIs.
Even though we've seen countless businesses fail, we've seen Congress become gridlocked with white people. We've seen, the most people that commit the most murders, the most robberies, the most sexual child trafficking, and so, always white people. But they want to say that the people that have always tried to pull the moral arc towards justice, as Martin Luther King said on his birthday, we are the ones that aren't deserving. And I think right now, I think here in Union County, I talk about this a lot, about like how local Democrats are still trying to do what Assata Shakur said we shouldn't do, is trying to appeal to the morality of our oppressors. But I think now on the national level, we're seeing that. We're like, y'all got the White House, y'all got the Senate, y'all got the Congress, you have a stacked Supreme Court. The fact they're still saying that, well, the Democrat, Mike Johnson has the fucking MAGA Mike Johnson with his rubber gavel is out there saying that the Democrats are not allowing this, or the Republicans in the Senate saying the Democrats are radicals. Y'all control everything. But what it is they want to be accepted in polite society. They want people to still invite them to the country club or invite them to the cookout or whatever the case may be. Well, I don't know what white people do. They barbecue. They don't cook out. They want to invite you to the barbecue. They want to come to your house. And people are like, no, we are not allowing you to normalize this shit.
Yeah, I think, and I don't mean this, obviously I don't mean it in a racist way, but like especially Black Americans, but minorities have been met with adversity throughout their life and careers. And, we've been conditioned to recognize these things. We've been conditioned to identify when, someone's working against you. We've been conditioned to overcome adversity. We've built that muscle. And I think in this moment, white folks are adjusting, right? It's a shock to especially the ones that are like, have been on the sideline. I'm not talking about the ones that have been out there on the front lines. I'm talking about, the ones that vote Democrat and the
No King's Day Democrats.
Yeah. And the ones that come out for like a protest and that's about it, or the ones that don't do anything at all, but like, and then they're like kind of shocked of like, this is happening. And I think that this is like, it's they have to now build that muscle to truly understand. It's like a boot camp at this point. It's like you have no choice but to listen to people who are have revolutionary language, who are actually
No, I just thought something because my neighbor's pulled off. So I have a neighbor. I don't know if I've ever talked about him on the show. And we've lived here for going on 5 years, and I've never met him. I've never introduced myself to him. I've never met him. Payron, that's so mean. Why would you do that? He has a truck, and he's white. You could probably gesture his race. And on the back of it is like an AR-15. And I don't know. And again, as I say, Black people have a very high danger radar. I was like, About 2 years ago, he chose to put the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" snake, right inside of his garage. And I told my wife, I said, I knew it. I knew that motherfucker was racist. I knew that motherfucker was dangerous. And I'm saying all this to say, to your point and to all of our point, and is this: Jonathan Ross, the man that shot and murdered Renee Nicole Good and called her a fucking bitch after he did so. His neighbor said that he told him for 10 years that he's a botanist, a plant guy. These people are ashamed of what they do. And he's been an officer since 2015. They're ashamed of what they do. We knew this because they wear masks. Only people who are ashamed wear masks. So as we played the video of Jacob Fry, as we played the video of Tim Walz, and as we talked about our experiencing through history, why should we not say, Roy Cooper, you want my vote? I'm going to go back to the Democratic Party for a second. You want my vote. These people themselves lie for over a decade, well before Renee Good was murdered. Well before Renee Good was murdered. Why do we still need an organization where the people themselves are embarrassed? They are too cowardly to say, this is what I do for a living. And they're murdering people that look like your daughter, Roy Cooper. At a certain point, we got to say, like, you know what? This is bullshit.
Yeah. They can, I mean, even it would be more powerful if these governors all came out and said something. It would be more powerful if, they were, not just said something, but they were actually using very intentional language in terms of, whether it's abolish ICE or ICE must be eliminated. These people could literally figure out they could literally sit in the room and figure out the messaging of how do we say that ICE is not legitimate while still providing support for law enforcement, right? How do we say that we can provide support to the community and policing or community safety while, while saying ICE is completely out of control, completely violated, it has to be dismantled, dismantled, disbanded, abolished, whatever. Figure it the fuck out. Get in a fucking room and figure it out. And because I promise you, there's a way to legitimately to say that, hey, the law enforcement of my city is actively trying and continuing to work with the community and trying to make better strides. You can fund our communities. You can fund community policing. You can fund these programs that we have, XYZ, but ICE is not it. You can work out programs where the police, where the state government, the state police or whatever are, when they apprehend a criminal and they are here illegally, they are then referred to ICE and then they give them to ICE. You figure some shit out like that. Right? This is fucking stupid that you're allowing ICE to just go into these communities with military vehicles, all this uniforms, all these guns, all this ammunition, and to fire upon people. And you think people are just going to stay in the house and take it? You go in the house and then what? They're going to be dragging them out. They're going door to door. These are Somalians. These are people they call Somalians garbage. The president called garbage. All of them. Right? So fuck you, Mayor Frey. Fuck you, Tim Walz. I'm tired of it. Like, seriously,
no, you're right.
I'm done with them.
But my point is this, though, right? Like, again, we kind of went through the whole idea of like we're going to have elections. Like, if again you're in a job interview, you want me to hire you, you want my vote. You can't walk to a job interview and be like, hey, can you go into McDonald's? Hey, can you put the fries in the grease? No, I ain't gonna do that shit. No, I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knock the fries on the floor. That's what I'm gonna do. You're like, well, no, I need you to put the fries in the grease. That's what we need you to do. And it's like, well, I can't. And then someone's gonna be like, well, we need him to be in that position to knock the fries on the floor. It's like, y'all, stop it. Stop it. These people, no, rightfully so. And I think this savage rage, which through colonialism was always told that we shouldn't have as they're oppressing us. Look at them. They're not using logic. They're screaming for their babies as we're ripping them out of their arms and selling them. Look at them. That's why they didn't allow slaves to cry. We had to smile as they ripped the babies from the arms of the mother. They made them smile. Yeah. That's the type of shit that's happening here. So, like, to your point of, so these people who want our vote, they want our support. I do not think that it is a crazy ask. I mean, and then even to your point where you're like, we could do police this way. The police are down with ICE, yo. And I think that's the real scary thing that we don't want to really kind of address is that if really Jacob Fry and Tim Walz really couldn't do that, because if they did, they would show how complicit the police are with ICE, because they're either a part of ICE on their off time, or there's that is it St. Paul is next to Minneapolis?
St. Paul, yeah, Minneapolis.
The mayor of St. Paul, she couldn't bring out the chief of police because he was already he's under investigation for crimes he committed with ICE.
Yeah, and my point is you can pick your battles. I think there's look, I'm not saying I have the exact message, but I know there's a message.
Actually, people are sick of it. To your point,
yeah, I think that actually can convey. I'm not saying like but they're not doing any of that.
They're not doing any of it.
And to Mayor Frey's point, right? Like, oh, go home. This man is trying to get out. Well, he's got 6 kids in the car. They throw in tear gas canisters and like injuring kids. It's only a matter of time before somebody else is just killed. It's only a matter of time before they start killing children. And then it's like, well, what's the red line? If we haven't crossed that red line for you, I'm just wondering what the red line is for folks.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie, and I'll end it on this. Have you seen the movie V for Vendetta?
Yes and no. I feel like I watched half. I feel like back then I didn't like those type of movies. Now I feel like I'm supposed to be watching.
Oh man, I mean, so that there's a moment when let's see here. I'm trying to pull it up here. Images. There's a moment that sets off the entire revolution. Okay,
Okay, yeah, I got to put that on my list for short list for this week.
and basically what happens is, the Guy Fawkes character is this underground person. The state calls him a terrorist. I actually have the clip. I'll post it later. I didn't upload it, but basically, and he's sitting around all these Guy Fawkes masks, trying to throw off all these masked, masked armed agents that are not beholden to laws. And one of the masks of this guy who's kind of like a resistance guy, his daughter gets it. She's a little girl, and she's like maybe 6, 7 years old, and she puts the mask on. And this agent, let's call them ICE agents, just to make it easy for people to understand the analogy. And he sees the mask, but just like the ICE agents here, the big scary boys, and a car going 5 miles per hour scares them. He saw the mask and shot at her and shot her through the back. This was the tipping point for the people. And I do believe Renee Good, and I asked you a couple episodes ago, or maybe it's last episode, do you think this is a George Floyd moment for the white community? And I think it's simmering there. I think 2 more people were shot last night in Minneapolis. 6 people were kidnapped. There was a tear gas canister thrown into someone's car with their children in it. This is all last night. The tipping point is bubbling up, and I just want us to all to understand we're already currently in an authoritarian regime. We're currently in a fascist regime. It's creeping, it's galloping. It's not creeping fascism, it's galloping fascism. And it is here to strangle us. And if we don't understand that you have the sovereign right to your body, and this is not me trying to get you to go out and do something else, but you have the right to defend yourself from these guys who have SS tattoos on their necks, who would call you a fucking bitch after they shot you in the face, who would call me a fucking nigger after they shot me in the fucking face. The idea that I can vote my way out of that is magical thinking. So I just want us to understand as we move into this next era, and I'm so glad Ram joined today because usually I'm gonna think about 30 minutes, but we got us both today. You got
and there's no episode tonight. There's no episode tonight.
So
it's like, look, I see what's happening. So
he sees what's happening, right? But like that's the tipping point, and like, is Renee Good? The tipping point is Keith Porter. The tipping point is Sergio, the gentleman in Chicago. What was his name? I'm sorry.
She's
the Mexican gentleman in Chicago.
Sergio Gonzalez.
Sergio Gonzalez, right? Like at a certain point, what is the tipping point? Is it you? Because what I tell people is like, imagine ICE has their literal nasty ass high school dropout boot literally on your throat. Just think about it. Just shut your eyes and imagine it. There is a nasty ass boot on your throat currently, siphoning off the blood and oxygen to your brain and your carotid artery right now. Think about it.
Silverio Villegas Gonzalez.
Silverio Gonzalez. Just think about that, right? You're on the ground. It's cold. It's January. You got asphalt rubbing into your cheek. Blood is coming out. Your adrenaline is pounding and crashing. And you see a bunch of people. They look like you, white people, just around. And they all got their phones out. And they all have their phones out. And they're just yelling at them. And you're so fucking mad. You're so like, help me. Someone please help me. And the most they can do is yell at them. You would want someone to intervene for your own life. The reason I tell a story like that, because I've been using this analogy for the past few episodes, but that Henry Fonda interview where he talked about witnessing a lynching, and men overran the jail and overran the sheriff to pull out one black man and strung him up from a light pole. Think about what that man was wishing someone could do for him. And they strung him up, and they filled him with bullet holes, and they set him on fire. Imagine the level where he's like, this is hell. This is hell. And in that moment, the crowd is cheering it on. They're, yeah, burn that nigger, burn him. And we're here saying in 2025, 2026, God, that we are we're more evolved than that. Are we? Do you not see that person as yourself? What would you want someone else to do? We're all these strong white men. I've been told through media and Captain America and television shows and the news, there's all these justice-centered white men. Where are they? Where were they for Renee Good? Well, where are they? Where were they for the kids at Roosevelt High School, which is right up the street from where Renee was shot, and these ICE thugs ran in there? Where are they?
Yeah, I think, as you said, I think it's simmering within the white population, I would say, a white American population. And I think it's starting to become more real. I do see, I've been critical of men as white men, our white brothers, white men, especially in the past couple of weeks. Like, where are you? And I feel like I am starting to see more of them come out. One last part of reflection from my perspective, I think, somebody said we're a lot further in the first They Came For poem. And I'll just, again, I think I mentioned this before. I went to the Holocaust Museum in 2016, 2 days before the election, and I walked through the museum. And as I walked through, it's kind of like a timeline. And this was actually my Facebook banner for probably the better part of 2016 till it's my banner again. As you walk through, I realized when we were in the early stages after I left the museum, I actually changed my thought, and I actually thought Donald Trump was going to win wholeheartedly. And of course, that came also with the Comey stuff that was going on. But as you go through the museum, you see the exact same. It was the things, especially in the beginning, you see those things happening, the media, how you were, demonizing truth and turning fiction into truth. And so if anyone has an opportunity to go to the Holocaust Museum anytime soon, I think you should go, and absolutely it will.
Is this the one in DC or is this in Germany?
In DC. And so even for myself, like I feel like just kind of going through and walking through and kind of feeling and seeing it, and then to see where we're at today, I'd imagine it'd be a lot too much, almost too much to handle, because you're 4 years, that was 8 years ago. That was, Jesus, that was
10 years ago.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
A decade.
Right. And to see where we're at, and to see, and the same thing. I mean, Hitler, like, before he came to rise to power, he lost, he
went to jail.
He was on the outs.
He had a coup.
He came back and had his ultimate, as we know,
and became chancellor.
And
can I just add to your point here? I'm going to add one more, because this Martin Niemöller poem is very important. But then I have this here that I posted that is very similar. It's almost a continuation of your point. But this, so if you guys can't see, it says, "Hey Americans, something to ponder upon. Greetings from Europe." And it starts with the American flag, and then top says, "It never happened." And then below that is the American flag, a little more bloody. It says, "It happened, but not the way you said." Then below it said, "It happened, but it wasn't illegal." And the flag's getting more and more tattered and turning more into a swastika flag. And then it says, "You are about here." There's a line between it happened, but it wasn't illegal. And then it's more of a Nazi flag below that. And it says, "It happened, it was legal, and there's nothing you can do about it." And it says that's where we are between those two spots. In the final stage, where it's a full-blown Nazi flag, it says, "It happened, we're proud of it, and you're a traitor for questioning it."
Yeah,
so
and that's why you can't reason with conservative. Like I said, because this is, they're at that. This is where they should be jumping. This is like the absolute line, right? Anyone who's still on board, they're going to be a year from now or 2 years, whatever. Because the longer this goes on and continues to progress, the harder it's going to be to pull out of it. But they will, your friends, people who you perceive to be friends, people who you perceive to be non-threats, that's absolutely the language that will be adopted. I mean, you can hear I don't know how many people you have in your sphere, but even like, on the comment boards and things like that, you can take it with a grain of salt, but you can see how the language, has shifted to, this is what I voted for. Absolutely. You shouldn't question authority, all of those things. And so they'll just
comply or die.
So
Well, as we head out today, I wanted to play this clip and we'll end it on here. It's Ellie Mistal with Joy Reid on her show. I didn't get a chance to play it last week, but this is a evergreen. I'm going to save this. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to delete this one from my computer. But it is so spot on, Ellie Mistal. If you guys don't know, he's a Harvard-trained lawyer, all-around badass and truth teller. And he just puts it in a way of, as Joy asking about Democrats mounting an opposition that they're not able to do. And I think that he's did such a great job. But before we get out of here with that clip, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We are very terrible capitalists. We forget to talk about please supporting the show. There is our QR code. This is how we stay independent and get the news to you in a way through a black and brown lens, plus our analysis and just how we're feeling, plus our experiences and expertise, mine in history, Ron with inside of technology and in the corporate space. All these things are very important because they all are part of our American experience. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and support the Radical Roots podcast and its subsidy show, the Roots Rundown here. But I'm going to play this clip here with Ellie Mistal. Any last words, Ron, before we play this clip?
No, I'm just glad I was able to hop on today.
Thank you for joining, brother. Thank you. It was great. Yes. And folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning for another Roots Rundown. But here's Ellie Mistal on Joy Reid Show. Check this out.
ICE agents can seemingly do anything they want, and no one is allowed to stop them. They know it, and they want us to know it. Given that, Ellie, how do we get rid of it? Because Democrats, as we know, are not the strongest people in the world, and they're not the toughest people in the world. And given the power of the Congress, let's say they somehow manage to win a rigged election and get back the House and Senate, I don't see them voting to abolish ICE. Nope. They're all going to fall back on their, we've got to, the pro law enforcement people in our base, yada, 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 centrists. How do we get rid of ICE given that the Democrats are weak?
The Democrats are cowardly and feckless. And you're absolutely right that their instinct is not to abolish ICE. And as I was kind of saying in my piece, that's because terrorist paramilitary organizations have their uses to all sorts of leaders, even leaders on the left. The only way the Democrats will abolish ICE is if the people who support them demand that they do. And this is the crucial time to do that demanding, because this is the primary season. Yep. In the mainstream media, in the Bari Weiss-led media, they'll never ask this question. But any Democrat asking for your vote, the first thing they should have to answer is whether or not they're going to abolish ICE. Amen. And the Democrats who say no, the Democrats who they don't get your vote in the primary. It is as simple as that. Do not vote for a Democrat who won't take a stand right now and say that they're going to abolish ICE. And there are a lot of them out there who won't take that stand. Don't vote for them. Every single person is running in some kind of primary where you got some kind of candidate who is going to be willing to say that, if for no other reason than they would like to win too. Do not vote for the cowards. It's as simple as that.